Mike Galime is in studio right now. Mike, good morning.
Good morning.
What people aren't doing now is racing up and down Genesee Street because of the new traffic pattern design. My understanding is, did they do it yesterday? They extended it 90 more days?
They did extend it 90 days. What's interesting, though, is the study results, which were released to the council Monday, they don't necessarily show that traffic is slower. I know that there's a lot of people saying that.
Was there a study released?
Well, so Wednesday,
I know there's a survey
at the council
released.
meeting, there was a survey, which they're calling a study.
Well, that survey is that survey is non-scientific.
Well, it's not just non-scientific. That was put out there, and many of us who looked at it, we said, look, this is probably just going to be out there for a while. Who knows? Can we verify who's, putting input in? No. Can we verify if people are taking it more than once? No. And then the other thing is that original request wanted that to go from Oriskany to Cottage Place. And I just learned of the news yesterday, too, that they're going to extend it 90 days. I saw it in a tweet. And then the administration later on in the day, put out that statement. And it does not seem that they're actually going to perform the study as they decided they should perform the study. One of the very few things they did commit to was we're going to do this from Oriskany to Cottage Place so we could see how this really works.
Right.
Because there's a lot of intersections, a lot of lights, a lot of driveways, a lot of in and out. We rely on parallel parking downtown. All these different things. They didn't do that.
So regarding the restricting, can you vote or give your opinion more than once? According to Katie Aiello on the program earlier this week, it was restricted by IP address.
Yeah.
Now, I just heard from a member of the council who said...
It's always restricted by IP address. SurveyMonkey does that. That's standard. That's on their website.
You don't have to be a whiz at computers.
Yeah.
You can go on your computer. You can shut off your Wi-Fi and go on your phone. You can go on another phone. You can go on another phone. You
go to your mom's house.
Yeah, because they're all going to have individual IP addresses.
And this goes for the people who were for
Yeah.
it or against it.
Correct.
And that's the real problem
Correct.
here. This was not started as a project of how can we get the community to work together. This was rammed through the council by lobbying for votes. Okay. The council that night said, hey, even if you want to do this, can we at least talk about it first? No, we don't want to talk about it first. Instead of taking the people who don't agree with this, taking the people who do agree with it, and trying to understand what the incompatibilities are.
Right, meeting with business owners, meeting with the public, having some public hearings, and then making a decision.
And then, which,
what happened with Stewart's.
Which, by the way, 2 weeks after they did this unexpectedly, I did present to the council, like, look, I know you started this already, but there's a process we could have taken before you tried something like this to research it. You should have established goals. Why are you doing this, et cetera, et cetera. So there's something measurable if you did want to, quote, study it officially.
Yeah.
Okay. But they didn't do that. They're not fostering discussion and people working together. I had my mirror almost taken off because people are using that center lane as a pass-through around traffic because of the gridlock.
I want to bring in Katie Aiello. I do want to say we did not plan this.
No, but that's all right.
She texted a couple times in response
that's
to
fine.
what Mr. And I said, well, if you want to call in, go ahead and call in.
Hi,
talk.
Katie. Councilperson, Utica Common Council.
So I just want to be clear that I have absolutely been meeting with people who do disagree on the concept of complete streets and hearing their genuine feedback. There's people who even like complete streets and notice the parts that do need improvement too. It's all part of the conversation. You could look at either with constituents or with the multiple times I've met with the Stanley. Anytime that somebody says they don't like it, it's not because it's their aegis or some unknown reason. That's when I break down the aspects of we are ranked number 17th in the state for pedestrian accidents. These are the issues. This were the recommendations from the state, from our own engineers for 10 years now. So I just want to clarify that this conversation is very open and it's not to shame people or to mock, I don't know, whatever the...
All right.
So I have a question for Katie Aiello. Why, in that case, did you not use the Complete Streets policy when implementing your sponsored trial that you requested the mayor do? Because we had something on the books where there should have been a checklist. We should have looked at this. We should have had that discussion prior.
So
you chose not to do that.
That checklist, if you look at it, they use 26 questions. I've been over this before. It's simple things like,
did you use the
are there
checklist,
bike lanes
Katie?
connected to this?
Did you use Complete Streets policy because you want to use the phrase Complete
Why
Streets?
don't you ask the administration whose trial this is? I'm a council person. I requested something for my district I thought would be beneficial for them and the hundreds of people who even live on this block.
Katie, you put a
this is-
website
no,
up
I wanna
about Complete
separate-
Streets policy. Did you use the Complete Streets policy when you decided to put this through on that evening beforehand?
Ask the engineers. Engineers do the checklist. I do not.
So you put
Any
this
issues you
forth
have with
without
this is
any.
based
So
on
you
the
put this forth
administration.
without any prior discussion. You took a map from 2012 and just put it through at the council meeting that night without talking to anyone else.
Let's say this one more time of policy and procedure. A council requests a trial. If the administration chooses they want to pursue a trial based on the information they have, they deliberate and do that. I am not in those meetings with the administration on what is being done with the trial.
So you've not met with the administration about this beforehand or after? You just said like.
Leading up to it, I've been having questions on it and encouraging it and advocating for it and showing car counts. And
So how did you tweet at 7:00 in the morning last night or yesterday morning that this was going to be extended when the mayor had not announced it yet? And then later in the day, it was announced that it was being
I
extended.
didn't say
You're
it was
meeting with the
going to be. I said I
administration.
hope it will
Katie.
be.
You are doing the things that you say you're not doing. And that's the issue here. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to effectuate change. It's just the way you're going about it, unfortunately, is creating fear and anger in your district.
I'm here to talk. So apparently, sometimes we have to do it on the radio. But I would like to keep doing that. So anybody else who has questions, you guys know where to find me, and keep the conversation going. Thanks so much.
All right, Katie,
All right.
thank you.
So if the council had come to a mayor, if I was the mayor about this, I would have said, listen, what we need to do is actually bring in key business owners, people who've been there, people who are new, businesses that are going to locate. Let's talk about this. Okay, that's step one. Okay, communicate with people. Okay, step two is look at what your goals are. Because this has all been about reducing to 2 lanes and adding bike lanes.
Yeah.
But now that the first study, the SurveyMonkey study was out, now all of a sudden this is being morphed into, this isn't about reducing the lanes. It's about, how comfortable you feel downtown and all these other things. What are your goals? Okay. We did a study already. The mayor tried this once above the museum. Okay. The first thing I would have done had I been mayor is said, listen, we did this 2 years ago. We have feedback on this already. And if you're going to do this, we need to look at the fact that this, unfortunately, first, okay, going to 2 lanes right now
Right.
is not necessarily compatible with between Oriskany Street and the museum because we have so many intersections, so much traffic. And I know they're saying, there's less than 10,000 cars. That's just a cherry-picked piece of data. We need to look at the actual inner workings of how downtown works. We just got rid of all of our north-south thoroughfares because of the hospital. We just changed how John Street functions with the turn circle. We just changed the fact that you can actually now use Genesee Street and 5S interchangeably.
Yes.
You don't have to go around it. So the first thing I would have said was, let's get the DOT in and let's do traffic count studies on State Street, Genesee Street, and John Street and Park Ave. Okay?
Yep.
That's number one. Number two, if people want to say you're going to slow traffic down, you need to actually know how fast traffic's moving in the first place.
A quick thing. I did
WIBX Utica Rome. Sandy, I'm coming right to you. Stand by.
I did get a comment here in that the term was used was calming traffic. That doesn't necessarily mean
Yeah,
slowing
that's Katie
the
texting
MPA.
in. That was from her comments.
and I
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
she did text in earlier.
But it's not calming. It's not calming. Are we on the air right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm stuck in gridlock.
No, we're at
I have
break,
people
Mike.
passing me. I have people. No, but but the way
No, we're on the air.
there's people passing me in parked car lanes. There's people passing me in the turn lane. There's people in gridlock. There's people backed up in Devereaux. This wasn't calming, and I wish for the good of how we're going to effectuate this,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it changes or not, we have to look at the reality of this. And there's businesses right now who are saying, I don't know in the long term how this is going to work because their goal is to reduce traffic. It's going to be traffic calming because you're going to remove the commerce from
Well, if
downtown.
if you're reducing traffic, you're reducing
At the
commerce
worst
for those
time,
businesses.
you're reducing
Number
commerce.
1. Number 2, would you agree, though, that doing the study, having a real DOT traffic study done, and getting current numbers, because you still have
Before any changes were made.
you have a hospital
Before any
coming.
changes were made.
You interview public, you do a public meeting, you interview businesses, and then the Common Council votes on it. It would not be the first time that the Common Council voted for something that really imposed on people,
Exactly.
and people either liked it or didn't like
Now,
it.
here's the key. It's how you...
But this whole running a government by polling
It's
is
ridiculous. That's mob rule. That
Yeah.
creates anger.
You go
that
nowhere.
creates a society that does not get along. Someone who wants to be a leader should have stood up, and I wasn't
I
in this
agree with
position
this.
then, and said, listen, Hospital's not online yet. Nexus is not online yet. Now's not the time to even try this.
Well, that's
We need
another.
to see where downtown's
another
going.
option.
I think it's okay for a city to put something out. Now,
And
before I
yes.
give feedback, I'd like to know what it's like to drive on a road with a different pattern, right? So they got some feedback.
Yeah.
I hope they. I agree. You can't govern
This
with
is.
polls.
Let's not forget
Exactly.
though.
Exactly.
Can we just not forget? This is a traffic pattern.
Yes.
When was the last time we debated a traffic
Well, so
pattern?
that-
Well,
That's the key.
in North Utica, they did this. They changed the
understand.
pattern.
Yeah, but
I
guess what?
understand.
It didn't own the airwaves. We have so many things going on right now. There is, an issue in South Utica, which is St. Elizabeth's. We're going to figure out what to do with that. We are trying to figure out.
That's a very good point. There's a
Right.
lot to worry about, and we're being
There's
all
tons of storefronts that are
we're
empty right
being-
now that are currently being redeveloped that we have to make sure can in fact have a good chance of being redeveloped at this point.
We're being sucked into this,
Yeah.
and everybody's wasting all of their
Crime,
energy on
I'm
this.
sorry.
policy.
If you're not looking in your side view mirror,
That's your
and you
problem.
might clip a bike, well, guess what? With the 4 lanes of traffic, if you're not looking and you open the door, a car might clip your door. I just want to say that. And that's fair.
These things could have been discussed prior. Okay, I parallel park downtown quite a bit. I have an office downtown. I'm either parked in the lot next to the Stanley, or I'm parallel parking because I have to come downtown, get some things in the office, go somewhere else, et cetera, et cetera. These are the things we could have hashed out before the changes were made. But I mean, this is my situational experience. I've almost been hit, and I hope it doesn't. Look, when I parallel park, there's only 1 lane now. So I have either people running right up on me. I've had to throw my Jeep in
yeah.
gear multiple times. This is just my situation. Some people are reporting good experiences with this, right? But the reality is, if someone came to me with this and I was the mayor, I would say, listen, council, if you're going to do this, I'm going to have to work with you on it because you're the council. You're the legislative group, right? I don't think that's necessarily what's going on here right now, but that's what I would have said. And then I would have said, listen, my initial assessment is on this over the last 15 years of this being debated. I mean, this goes back to the Rivaro administration. Seriously, they were going to put a median in the road.
Yeah.
Okay. This has been looked at for a long time. If you wanted to try this, where it makes sense is not between Oriskany Street and the museum. Where it makes sense is between the museum and the parkway. But right now, what's the end goal? Within 2 weeks of this going out there, people came to the council meeting and said, we can't wait to see this going all the way to New Hartford. You've got the city planner all over social media saying, we can't wait to do this all the way to New Hartford. Guess what? Going down, forget complete streets because they did not use that policy. Going down to 2 lanes between Oriskany and the museum doesn't necessarily make sense. And maybe you can make it work, but we got a lot of work to do. And we got a lot more people coming downtown soon. Between the museum and the parkway, go ahead. Between the parkway and New Hartford, no way. As much as you might want it, look at Price Chopper. Look at the French Road intersection where Sunnyside is. You can't have 2 lanes of traffic there. These people aren't looking at the reality of how people use our city, and it's very frustrating. As a mayor, I would have to say, listen, we need to guide this a little different because you're making some rash decisions.
But let me ask you this question.
Did I do an ID? WIBX
Yes, you did.
Utica Rome.
Thank you. The trial period just ended this week, and now it's been extended. And as you can see, the phone lines light up because people have opinions.
Exactly.
The time to discuss this isn't May. It's now. We don't know.
no.
First of all, there's still patients in the hospitals that, it needs to be determined
Yes.
what the future purpose is.
100%.
But they're still there. There's not, as far as we know, somebody bidding on the buildings, and the hospital doesn't know what to do with them. So if the city wants to weigh in on that, I agree that's an important issue, but I don't think it supersedes what we're talking about
I
right
agree
now.
with you 100%, and I'm talking about it right now because this is how it was done. Okay?
Fair enough.
Celeste Friend and Katie Aiello sponsored this, had 3 other votes, got it done. The mayor said, sure, I'll do it for you. So we are talking about it. I don't think that's how we should have effectuated change in the city because we're angry talking about it because people had to wake up and find out about it. And then here's the other issue I have.
I agree with that point.
Okay,
certainly.
here's the other thing. How many times did you hear, and this is on record at the council meeting, people came to the council meeting to public comment, and in air quotes, mocked all the people who requested real process before this change was made, okay? Or this change was thought about. And they, in air quotes, oh, guys, this is just a trial, right? Well, does this feel like just a trial right now? Because they made permanent changes to the road that are epoxied, and now all of a sudden they're extending it. After even, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. They said they were going to run this 90 days and then assess the Survey Monkey survey. They didn't even do that. That's why at the last council meeting, I requested the survey be delivered to the council members because I figured at the next meeting we'd be deliberating it.
This is Mike who says, I think this is interesting, and I'm going to wrap this up. The sidewalks downtown are way too big for the current population. Figure out a way to utilize a portion of it as a bike lane. I mean, those are large sidewalks.
That's an interesting thought. And if I can just slide one more in, this comes from somebody who works downtown at the state office building. Mike is 1,000% correct. Going in and out of the state office building every day, you can see the backup and gridlock.
By the way, this just shows you how vicious this whole thing has gotten. This person says Katie is slowing down traffic and making people walk so they stop at her business. Because of this, I will never go to her business.
All right.
And I do think that what happens is
That's not good.
people are choosing
That's not good.
sides. We're in
I
a
don't-
situation where, as you said, people are angry. It's creating a divide.
Right.